Okay. I cleaned up the roof and then we went and called, but he can't get a hold of the things for the nuts. So we got to wait on that. We'll see what happens. I looked online for a thing to do them ourselves. We can just keep it out in the shed and do it ourselves. But I don't know. I guess anything that's really decent is real expensive. I don't know. Have to wait and see. But yeah, human beings, their inventions and their money. When you do something, do it well, do it right, and share it. If you can't do that, don't bother. I sat and watched this video on music, the kids from Musical Youth. Remember them? Pass the Dutchie and Unconditional Love. And one died from having complications with drugs and addiction and stuff. The other, they said he had schizophrenia. He was just he died at age 55 in a mental institution. He spent all his time in his mental institution. He died from this and that. And that. Probably died from his medication. Okay, his medication that altered his behaviors because it was so hard to deal with all the abuse. Uh, Eventually, just shut his body down. That's most likely what happened. Uh, and then the other two are trying to still survive, paying their bills by singing for entertainment and hoping people will give them money to do it. That's just horrible, right? So, but when I was up there cleaning the roof, I was it's obvious that the scientific community, as we know it, is the same community as the type of people, because it's off. If you look at the historical precedence of these people, the what's the guy's name, the one that Sheldon likes so much, the guy from England, Isaac Newton. That's it, Isaac Newton and Friedrich Leibniz and Nietzsche and all them. So they're perpetually genetically, the same type of people over and over again. So they give you their perception over and over again, and they're almost constantly wrong because of an egotistical projection. And then they keep perpetuating their delusions of human power and authority, and keeping most people trapped in their in their perpetual delusions. And for some reason, it's still is insidious and still happening. It doesn't work. Right? It does not work. What works is forgive debt and trespass, love, all eternal, faithful, peace, life's eternal, grace is infinite, share, care, giving, give, according need, built to last. That works, right? It doesn't need retooling or rebooting. It doesn't need a reevaluation or debate. It's just there. It is. Do it, right? And so when you sit there and look at that, you look at people and you look at their insanity and their collective participation in it. And then you have to look at people and there was a song by Breeze Hammond and Maxi Priest, who's going to take, how can we ease the pain? Who's going to take the blame? And it's like, what do you mean? The people that are right don't want to blame anybody. They just want people not to do wrong and then do right. Right? You don't want to incarcerate people. You don't want to exterminate people. You just want them to understand right and then do right and live right, right? That's the people that are right. That's why they have religions based on these people. That's why they are perpetually good, perpetually intelligent. That's why there's prophecy about their existence. Prophecy, the book of Malachi, so it's the book of Revelation, book of Daniel, so forth, right? And so, there's a person who's an excellent example, who's critical of Dan, that mural. Yeah, don't over-exaggerate your self-importance. I don't want any murals of me anywhere in El Paso or Las Cruces, period. Anywhere I go. I don't want any big murals of myself anywhere. Okay. I want people to live the Lord's Prayer, be happy, and then love one another, Murals are kind of overrated. I like them. I think a lot of them are pretty kind of neat. I like artistic expression. You got to understand what an asshole Diego Rivera was. Okay. His wife didn't paint murals. She painted small paintings. And she was much more decent person than he was. Right? He was a dick. Okay, and he was an influencer. Okay. She influenced more people because she had a better spirit than he did. Yeah. She came from rich people. And when she was physically disabled and her life was made miserable because of this physical disability, she reached far more people than she would if she'd been, quote, physically healthy and rich. You guys familiar with Frida Kahlo? And so, but as far as Barack Hussein Obama, okay, Barack Hussein Obama, you get a lot of people, oh yeah, that son of a bitch, he was not responsible for the opioid addiction of a lot of people that killed a lot of people for genocide operations for the U.S. military and their scientists and their corporations. He was not responsible for it, no. He was the instrument they used to blame for being responsible. Okay, he participated, and he either he was too frightened or he doesn't feel he's capable of standing up for me and my family to this is the proof of the Gospels, this is the guy, let's live the Lord's Prayer, let's go back to the faith of Psalms and sustain it with the wisdom of Proverbs, right? I approve this message, right? And so, but he's not going to do that. I don't know why. My own family doesn't do it. Okay, my own family chooses to behave like Barack Hussein Obama instead of say, hey, Earl's the real deal. He's the Messiah, right? It's in the books. He's proved prophecy from these books beyond any reasonable doubts, and there's so much information in there. You'd have to be an idiot to sit there and think, and he's the living correction. It says so in all the books. That the authority figures that manipulate and stuff take the stories and turn them into mythology so they make no sense. And then there's always a living correction. There's the living word that comes and gives you the truth about their faith, about their eternal faithful love, about their eternal faith in God, And you can believe that these people are right because it's faith based on reality and they are true. They're faithful. They're true. They're good people, right? And you got all you people, that like that one guy the other day, they should lock up Stephen Miller in The Hague for the rest of his life. Did you participate in the contest to have Donald Trump be president? Okay, so where's your responsibility in what Stephen Miller is doing over economic conflict? Like, share, and subscribe. If you like my content. How can you like selfish brain chemical addiction that gets people mass murdered and you don't think you're participating? You're either using YouTube or Facebook to stand up for the Lord's Prayer so we can all live free from genocide through brain chemical addiction, through conflict and contest and philanthropy, or you're not, right? So you're going to blame Barack Hussein Obama for doing what the military had him do while he was president for 8 years, right? And because he was in the White House when I was revealed to the world on YouTube, he's the biggest bastard in the history, and there's Bush is a great guy, and Biden's lunatic, and Trump's going to save us all, right? And Hillary Clinton's the most evil bitch in the history of the world because she was business partners with Obama, and Biden's crazy, right? That's a conservative. I'm Christian and I vote. Jesus, egotistical God projection, cartoon character person's brain trying to properly function over tens of thousands of years of this kind of irrational thought process. And then you get, they had the thing about, Brian, the secrets of Albert Einstein's brain and blah, 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 blah. Where are you going to keep the theory of relativity? In a petri dish. And where's the petri dish? On a counter. Where? On a planet. Where? In a universe. Right? Do you understand? Okay. So there is no secrets to how Albert Einstein's brain works. Okay. His brain is just not being confined to the petri dish. And then when you try to do that, it drives you mad and him mad. That's why you might want to go try to. But the writings of Pascal were altered by a corporation called Vatican to try to remain in business, to manipulate people with money and delusions of human authority and power through legislation, dictation, and philanthropy, right? So when you look at all this stuff, and now we're at the point in time where the technology is getting self-sufficient of a reflection of intellectual, the best perception of intellectual, which is there's no supremacy, right? Because you forgive debt and trespass, you love one, eternal, faithful peace, you share, care, give, and quantity, built to last. We can all do that to the best of our capacity, right? And no one can be more truthful than another person, because truth is truth. Truth is evident, lies obvious. Okay, and no one can be more faithful than another person. You both make wedding vows, and you're married, and the one person is not more faithful than the other person, right? If they're both faithful. Okay, if one is unfaithful, then the other person is faithful, and the other person is unfaithful, right? So that's not being more faithful. That's being unfaithful. So you're either faithful or you're unfaithful, right? So you don't make wedding vows and then say, well, I changed my mind because I don't want to be faithful, right? But the thing is when you make wedding vows, those are very serious. Yeah, and so, like with me, my marriages, I tried to stay into them, okay? But the other people were unfaithful. So you cannot remain in a relationship being faithful to that relationship if the other person is unfaithful and you are faithful, right? Okay, so, and it's hard to do. I understand, When I asked Yolanda Gilliard to marry me, and she was going out to the clubs and having sex with other people, and other women, because of gossip and the gossip chain, were aware of this and were like, oh, he's wonderful. I would like him to be with me. And then they're trying in every way. It's obvious she's screwing around. Go with me, right? And it's hard, but I don't have conclusive evidence, right? And because we were separated by economic conflict and abuse from oppressive, authoritarian, insidious, disgusting people, that I'm still separated from people that, especially women, and a woman to be faithful to and with, that will be faithful to and with me. And I'll be 60 in July. And I know how broken people are because they have the Golden Bachelor on TV, right? And I would not be interested in any of those women at all. Okay, you're going on TV for a contest to see who's going to have sex with a guy who you consider successful because he does excessive narcissistic things with his money and his exercise to appear a good catch to a woman who shares the same obsessions. Yeah, no, I'm not interested. Okay, so what are you interested in? Lord's Prayer, Psalms, and Proverbs. Still waters run deep, right? And then after we're doing that, I like a woman that, can hold her own. I like a woman that loves everything and everybody because I love everything and everybody. I'm just kidding around. But I don't love everything. I love everybody. I don't love everything. No, I don't love the nuclear weapon. I don't love extortion, exploitation. I don't love linguistics that they use at the Supreme Court to fuck people over money to feel powerful. And I hate that. So I don't love everything. Everything people do. That's a piece of paper. It's a thing. It has something written down and it's completely insane. I love the people that wrote it down, and I hope they will submit to the faith of Psalms, living the wisdom of Proverbs, and let's stand up for that Lord's Prayer now. Take off your fucking dress. Go home. Love your kids. Right? Black robe. Yeah, black robe. Yeah, black robe. That's from the movie Black Robe with the little, never mind. Okay. Yeah, black robe. Yeah. Give you the evil eye. Ooh, don't stare into their evil eyes, oh no. Because in their evil eyes, where their evil eyes, I realize, don't stare into their evil eyes. Bum, bum, ba-da-da, bum, bum. That's from the World Power album, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is. I got to download a couple more things. I got Human Bomb. I think I have Evil Eyes. I got Easy Meidrin and Illusion. That's one of my favorites. In this world, there is so much controversy. He speaks with a Patra accent. He goes, there's so much controversy. but it's the way he says it. That's the way you pronounce it a lot of people pronounce it in Patois. In Patois, your pronunciation and the way you use the word is kind of like like I explained to people, with Ebonics, Weesby often to go. That's the syntax is a little bit more in the way you would speak in Swahili, okay, or the languages, right? So when you say, ISB, it's their syntax because they weren't taught. They were just given words and then they speak them in their thought process the way you'd express it in your language, right? So there is so much controversies. Okay. Stare into their evil eyes. Oh no. Because in their evil eyes, where their evil eyes are realized, but you stare into their evil eyes. Right. And so and evil is as evil does. Okay, and if you're not standing up for the Lord's Prayer and you're saying the white devil with blue eyes is more evil than you are, how dare you say that about my Emily Gracie Bird? She's not evil. She's just abused by evil people and she feels helpless. My little sweetie pie. She's so sweet. I love her so much. Yeah. Her and Kate are the two that I have the most emotional concerns, and yeah. Well, they're girly girls, Yeah, and I know, I understand. I know that Kate is the biological daughter of one of my coworkers at a lockup facility in Wyoming. I get that. I understand that. I know that a Navy SEAL was jealous of me because he thought I was undermining him because I was trying to be the OG. It's like, I am the OG, bitch. Always will be. Okay. Dad, you're like the dude from Luanda. I know. Okay. They told me the same thing at Three Springs in Hereford, Arizona. Yeah. You're the man. Well, because the one, I can't remember the kid's name, is a sweet kid, but Justin had him, show me his drugs. He goes, I have these. What should I do with them? What do you think you should do? I don't want to get caught with them and get violated and sent to Florence, so I'm going to flush them in the toilet. I said, that's a good decision. So he went and he flushed them in the toilet, and I said, okay, well, thanks. Don't let that happen again. We want to keep you safe, right? After that, the kid told Justin, and all the kids were like, Mr. Parsons, he loves us. He wants us to be safe. He wants us to make good decisions. He wants us, to be able to do it on our own. And so, if you get into a place and people are doing drugs and stuff like that, you have to be able to say, oh, shit, man, no way. I won't be able to pay for my groceries. Won't have, $14 left and 47 cents. A woman's home with a month-old child. Dang me. I'll take a rope and hang from the highest tree. Oh, woman, would you weep for me? Right? So, Earl, And so, I think it's wonderful that we have the scientific capacity, to have the surveillance of my whole life to prove that this guy's like Daniel, is like Joseph, is like Jesus, he's like David. Oh my gosh, they're so wonderful. They're such wonderful people. Their capacity to be forgiving, their capacity to protect people from bullies, their capacity to make good decisions when being manipulated and abused by the worst, selfish, angry, mean perverts in the history of the world. Okay, is so exceptional. It's very, very, very impressive. And because I wasn't comparing myself to others and appreciated and admired and loved others, I didn't think, I never gave myself a situation where I was a better person than Jerry Provincio Aviar, than Lawrence Benegas, than Lawrence Lewis Bowen, than Jim Oberlin. Well, it's hard. Jim was an ass. Okay. Bob Zingas is still an ass. And I adore his children. Okay. But he's an ass. Okay. So, and then that's hard, because Aiden's dad's a nice guy. He's a good guy. count on him. He tries his best, stuff like that. Bob, if you don't agree with him and don't do everything he says, you're a fucking idiot, and he'll abuse you verbally and intellectually if you don't agree with his idiocracy. And you're like, fuck. And he has 2 daughters. And it doesn't seem fair that, to Tori and Mallory, so why is my dad such a idiot? Why is Aiden's dad such a nice guy? Well, mom learned her lesson. Then why isn't mom? Because he's hanging out with Bob. When things go wrong, families don't hold together. You can't give a woman philanthropy and say it's the Lord's Prayer and we won't live perfect marriages until we're dead and in a magic place in our heads. That's bullshit, right? You're not going to have a faithful family. You're not going to have, Michelle and Barack don't have a marriage. They have a business arrangement. Bill and Hillary don't have a marriage. Jill and Joe they have a business arrangement. Okay. Melania and Donald don't have a marriage. It's a business arrangement. The same goes for all the people on the late night talk shows that have children with their business arrangement, right? Hey, $2 million if you have my kid. And she wins an icon award, right? Don't be an icon. Don't get caught being an icon. Okay, Demita Joe? Call up Barack and tell him, we really ought to stand up for Earl. If he has to do it all by himself with quantum computing and corrects all the data centers just about all by himself, how are we going to explain that to our kids? Yeah, it sure would be nice if you guys, stood up and started doing what I'm doing and then say, and where'd you get it from? Earl. Earl did it. Yeah, Earl did it. No, Bob Cummins did it. Bob Cummins did it. I was trying to explain that to him. It was a lie detector test, and I didn't have anything I thought I had to lie about. Yeah, they got the little girl. The reason why they had us all in there is because the little girl was living with a scumbag who was her baby daddy, and she was stealing from the register to pay for her diapers and stuff. And I took one for the team because they were getting everybody on everything and cleaning out the whole store. And Miss Wilkie, who was our manager, was a total sweetheart, and she was getting ready to retire. So me and Bob got fired, and the little girl who was stealing from the cash register got fired. And everybody else treated us like we were thieves. It was horrible, but I just figured, okay, I'm going to take one for the team because they're going to get everybody on everything. If I take this one, and I told Bob, we both live at home with our moms. We can recover and get a better job anyway. And the little girl, the little blonde that we liked, that was sweetheart, that was, was married to the loser, was baby mama of the loser. Yeah, it wasn't nothing we could do about her anyway. So that's what I did. I wonder if Bob's over it. I hope so. Okay, guys, I love you guys, all right? Peace out, man.